I tell you what, Vlad, it's some things that we need to work on is because, look, man, when I came out of prison and all those few good things that you said about me, I still could not get a place to stay, right? Because I was a convicted felon. So I don't know if you know that I had to live in a hotel while I was doing my parole. And it was, I had, because when you are a convicted felon, I went to apply at this building. They said, denied. I didn't know that. I was like, wow, I'm denied. Why? I said, my credit's good, my money's good. Why? And they're like, you just denied. So I went to another building, and then another building. And then I went to the Yale Club and gave a speech. And the lady came up to me at the end. She goes, yeah, I own those buildings, and I'm the one denying you. True story, right? And it's the Ratner Group. And she said the HOA, Homeowners Association, or the tenant groups didn't want a convicted felon in there. And if you're a convicted felon, you can't. And even if it's not me, the people that have to move back to the projects, you're not around to be, when you get out of prison and you're still on parole, you can't go back to the projects because you can't be around other parolees. So where else can you live? Here I am supposed to be, Mr., and here I am, I can't find a place to live, and nobody would let me in. And she gave me an opportunity to live in that building, and that kind of helped me out, but I couldn't find a place to live, Vlad.
Oh yeah, I interviewed Kerry Lathan. He was one of the people shot during the Nipsey Hussle murder. He was standing next to Nipsey at the time, and he got shot himself by Eric Holder. And right after he got shot, he had just got out of doing like 35 years for murder. And they arrested him and put him back, and they're about to have him face another 20 years for parole violation because they say that he was associating with a known gang member.
No, I know him because I took a few pictures with him.
Right.
Like that. But so the parole officer was like, well, you have gang affiliation. I said, look, man, I know Nipsey about as much as I know you. You my parole officer. I met you. We've talked a few times. That's as far as I know him.
Yeah.
Now, when I first came home, Nipsey heard that I was home, and he filled up my little sister's backseat of her car with clothing for me.
Got it.
So I had clothes to wear. I was out 7 months before this happened.
And we talked about that. They ultimately the interview came out and it went viral, and they ultimately ended up dropping the charges, and there was a GoFundMe page that helped him out and everything. But it was one of those things where we were talking about it with him and also Big U, who was also on the phone with us, from the Rolling 60s, talking about, you got these guys, they're from areas that are considered gang areas. They come out, where are they supposed to go? Whereas their support system is their family, and their family is technically gang related, and they go back to prison for being around their whole family, their own family, and it ends up being almost a catch-22.
Right? So, I was working with Senator Cunningham in New Jersey on a bill, and she was doing the work. I just looked at the paperwork. I did very little, where you don't have to check off that you were a convicted felon. If it wasn't for being a pedophile or something like that, but it's something that that application don't mean nothing with the internet today, right? Like, I've done everything a man's supposed to do and not supposed to do. And most of the stuff I am embarrassed about. I am an open book. I'm transparent. But for the average person who don't have the resources or the connections that I have, life can be dangerously unknown for them.
Well, yeah, the revolving door of prison.
Right. And you get
out, can't find a place to live, can't find a job. What are you going to do? You're going to go back to doing something illegal. Then you get caught again. Like, I remember reading this one story. It was about a guy who had 2 strikes, and he got caught forging like $2,000 worth of checks, which ended up being a felony. 3rd strike, life in prison. Over $2,000. Like, how, when you look at it, someone like you and me who have money, $2,000, we could spend that at dinner. Like, this guy's doing life in prison over a minuscule amount of money.